Welcome back to Cryptomentals. It's a Monday morning at September 15th, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, so a couple hours after the TradFi market open. Looks like I'm streaming here. Last week I kind of botched the stream when trying to use the auto scheduling feature on YouTube. But I think it looks like I'm streaming right now. Yeah, so anyway, hey everyone. Oh, crazy, I'm getting one of those iPhone emergency alerts. Someone's on the run in my hometown. Anyhow, looks like I'm streaming with a little bit of a delay here, but looks like somebody's in here watching. Maybe you could let me know if I am actually streaming. That'd be nice. Otherwise, I'll just move on. So, looks like, well, I got CoinMarketCap up here and streamed a week ago. Most of crypto's up on the week. The 7-day percentages, basically everything's green here in the top 100 or so. But things were kind of rolling over the weekend a little bit, and so the 24-hour percentages are mostly red at the moment. Probably one of the big performers on the week was AVAX, actually, which is a coin I'm pretty interested in. It's 13% up right now, and on the week, and of course, it's a freaking digital asset treasury. It seems like. Oh wait, you know what? I'm not even sharing my right. See, the hard part about doing this solo. Okay, now I got CoinMarketCap. Sorry, you guys were looking at my little disclaimer though, which by the way this isn't financial advice. I'm basically just doing this for entertainment and just kind of talking about what I'm seeing in the markets here. And I already kind of fucked up the beginning of this stream, which is okay. Nobody's really watching anyway. I just started taking a crack at streaming again here recently, and not sure where I'm going with this, but at the moment, probably just sort of on a relaxed basis, stream once a week or so. I think I'll probably shoot for Mondays around this time for now, with no hard deadline. If I'm too busy, might have to push it out a day or so. We'll see how that goes. Not really trying to become the next crypto influencer, just sort of keeping my head in the game, talking about what I'm seeing, and see if I can, well, see where that goes. So anyway, I do have crypto. Got off to a rocky start again, I guess. But I got CoinMarketCap up here, and like I was saying, yeah, you can see everything's green on the week since I last streamed. Doge up 10%. Solana actually has been kind of the rage lately. That's up 9% at the moment. AVAX was up about 13% on the week. And I was saying just that's related to a DAT. Of course, Sol has a lot of hype behind it with digital asset treasuries at the moment. And Doge actually also had an ETF approval, I think. So maybe the Doge ETF's actually trading at the moment. Can maybe look at that in a minute. And hilariously, just crypto stocks themselves and these DATs and the Bitcoin miners and everything seems to be kind of the hotter side of crypto at the moment, hilariously. Definitely fueled by these digital asset treasuries. And then, of course, there's ETFs popping off. Seems like on a weekly basis at this point, but some big news around Solana DATs here, and then like I said, the AVAX one, which I think honestly I think AVAX looks really good. We'll look at that chart here in a minute. But also I kind of I just sort of threw in a FinViz portfolio. I threw in all the crypto stocks I could think of off the top of my head this weekend. And you can see, well, it's sort of a mixed bag here, green and red on the day, but a couple big things. This Helios Medical is it a Solana DAT, I think? I forgot actually that one. They just announced a treasury company, but I actually just forgot if it was Solana or not. I think it is. Let's look at that a little closer. I guess I could just click on it. But anyway, it popped hard this morning in the pre-market. Yeah, Solana treasury. So yeah, you got the Helios one. 1.255 billion they raised to turn their company into a Solana treasury. And then of course Galaxy, there's two things about Galaxy in the news today. One, it's, you know, they have that Forward Industries Ford, which just bought a shit ton of Solana. And then I saw this Galaxy Digital buys a huge 1.5 billion Solana stake, and I couldn't tell if that's actually part of the Ford or if they bought that for their own entity. Not exactly sure, but either way, they're loading up hard on Solana. And so anyway, that Helios, you know, it gapped way higher in overnight, was up a couple 100%. Actually, maybe even more, really, from $8 up to 20 something. I'm not suggesting buying any of these. Actually, I'm not. I'm a little weary of just aping into these for sure, because they seem to come. You know, they seem to have this big move on the open and then grind lower. So if you're not already long, it's kind of hard to jump into these, especially on a stock that gaps up like this. I don't recommend just going and aping in here. But it's interesting nonetheless, and of course, it's adding buying pressure to Solana. But yeah, a couple other crypto stocks. This Bitfarms popped pretty good today, and it gapped up too. This is a Bitcoin miner. I banged out a double here on this one today. And it's this one. I mean, I wasn't really streaming at the time, but I was talking in chats with a lot of people and some friends about this one when the W came in here. You know, I just bought this weekly W. Perfect looking chart in my opinion. You know, if you just draw some fibs here off the old range lows, you can see 78.6 level is right where that W broke out, and that was around $1.20, and you can see it's sitting at 257 today. I also sold some puts here. I wanted to get filled. I sold some dollar puts here, cash secured puts, collected like $11 a contract on them, and then it never dropped. You know, they ended up expiring worthless, so kept that cash too, and then never got long. But I was trying to get long, sort of like a wheel strategy on that thing, but I just pocketed the cash, and then it took off. But you can see that nice move here today. I don't know what kind of news that is. And well, sorry, nice move on Friday, really, and then gapped up again today. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there, but just kind of general point that these crypto stocks are taking off here. So you got the Helios one ripping on Solana news, and then that BitF was nice. But also like Riot's got a nice strong move going. Actually hopped on I don't know if I have that one drawn up here, Riot. Don't have it here, but actually, Brian Beamish was talking about this key reversal here. Going back on, when was that? August 18th, nice engulfing bar key reversal, you know, engulfing the previous 3 bars in this case. And so I bought that breakout there, just kind of looking for this ABCD move. So that looks something like this, you know, risk into those lows, and then just an ABCD here. Actually took another one of these on Arrow. Well, not a key reversal, but maybe I'll talk about that today too. Geez, I have like a lot running through my head right now, so I'm, you know, sorry if I'm bouncing around a little bit, but I just got a lot of there's a lot going on in crypto actually at the moment. But anyway, it's nice strong move on Riot, of course, Bitcoin miner. And so, yeah, the crypto stocks look really interesting to me. And in terms of buyable crypto stocks, I only have one that I did buy on, I guess, Thursday or Friday. And that's actually, I don't even, oh yeah, Can right here. There's another Bitcoin miner. This looks a lot like BitF when it actually was in the, Can in the weekly W stage. So you can see the weekly W breakout there. Actually not as nice of a location. I mean, if you zoom out a little bit, you see we actually took out the lows here. So it wasn't actually as beautiful of a range setup as that BitF, which actually closed inside of the old range. So we did break the lows, but you can see how we're kind of getting back into that range of the old lows, which I think is a positive sign. And there's actually multiple W's coming in here. I just bought the breakout there at 80 cents, and I think you probably still get a pullback and get filled. And I was actually hunting some options in there too, but I haven't done anything yet. And a friend of mine was showing me the options he bought, so maybe I'll go hunt some options here. And this might be one for that cash security. Well, I don't think the put strategy is going to work that well because I don't know. Well, maybe there's a 50 cent put, but I haven't really looked into that. But this could be a nice options trade too. Any kind of, strong move higher, those options would do pretty well. And then of course, just buying at 80 cents here and looking for a double at 160 seems like about half the range. So this seems like a kind of a no-brainer to me. I already have I did buy back in here and got more than a double on this move actually. So I have a free position established from that move, and then now just starting a second car here. And you can see the multiple W's coming in, and even like RSI divergence on the move to a new low here. RSI went into divergence right there and broke out. So really any of, even buying that W, it had some sort of move. They're not quite a double, but anyway, so I like CAN. That's the only crypto stock I can think of that's particularly buyable, except for some of the shit ones, which I'm not interested in, like this SAIH might be. I haven't really looked into that. I have a position from earlier that's pretty underwater at the moment. But yeah, anyway, I like that CAN. And I actually like the, I don't think I have it on here because it's Canadian, so it's not in here, but I like this. I wanted to look into this DMGI a little bit more. Because you can see the same kind of chart as that CAN, basically. I mean, came down against the old range lows, nice weekly W, pulled back, and now it's kind of taken off. So kind of missed the cheap trade off this little daily W, but this is in Canada only. And I don't know exactly what this company does. But this one looks interesting to me too. Maybe I'll pull back into that gap at like 28 cents. Could be a nice trade. Probably need to look into that one a little more. So anyway, those are two crypto stocks I think are buyable. And then the last thing I'll say about crypto stocks is, well, the other two somewhat interesting DATs are this Hyperion DeFi, which is a hyperliquid hype token DAT. And then SONN, Sonnet Biotherapeutics, is also hyperliquid. And those both pumped hard last Friday and Thursday. And they're kind of pulling back. And again, I don't know how interested I am in buying them at these levels, but just kind of interesting to see what they do. And it's pretty funny that these biotherapeutic companies are turning into DATs, because usually these biotech companies, as I see them, they often have a lot of cash because they're just on some sort of burn rate that they're developing whatever drug they raise enough capital to do their development. And it's funny, they're probably taking those stacks of cash and starting to dump into these DATs a little bit, because I've seen a couple of these biomeds that are turning into DATs. Anyway, nice weekly W for sure, but I mean, you can't really chase this here. That's that Sonnet. And then Hype D is also a nice W breakout here. I was looking at this on, I guess that was last Wednesday, and just was like, I don't know. I don't like the location that much. And really, I mean, it almost doubled. So fine if you got in, but I didn't really like it. Just kind of chasing into that big gapped up breakout. And of course, Hyperliquid itself is a little bit, not rolling over in a bigger picture, but just in the short term, kind of rolled over the weekend. And so anyway, that's enough for crypto stocks here. Well, I guess I do want to just mention Galaxy. I love the idea of owning Galaxy over the long term, but I can't buy it right here. I do have a position off the lows here from like $5 that I sold half on a 5X. And part of me kind of wishes I wouldn't have sold it. And I also really wish I would have reloaded on this deep dip here, but it never got down to 78.6, which was where I was hunting, just being too much of a cheap ass in the sort of tariff dump back in April. But I can't remember if I think I talked about Galaxy in my last stream, but from a fundamental perspective, I really like the idea of owning Galaxy. And of course, they're apparently ripping into Solana right now. But to be fair, you can't really chase into this. If anything, we're getting up into a short reload zone against these range highs here. So we'll just see if it can roll over. But Any kind of deeper dips, maybe there might be a trade. But I like Galaxy. Yeah, that's enough of crypto stocks. I did set up a Discord, which is just one channel that I'm sort of almost using as like a journal. And so I did post the link at the bottom of this YouTube video if you want to join this. It's set right now, it's currently set to no one can comment. You can just react with emojis and stuff. And I'll probably just leave it that way because if anything, it's just like a feed where I just have been dumping in news stories and trade ideas and stuff to sort of prepare for these weekly streams. Although I'm not really following my preparation anyway. I'm just kind of rambling. But I guess going back to where I started, some of the things that caught my eye over the week. Of course, a lot of drama around the hyperliquid USDH ticker. And I think they finally awarded that fully to Native Markets, which is a native hyperliquid startup. And they're going to have, Hyperliquid's launching their own stablecoin essentially under the ticker USDH. I assume to try to capture the yield that they're currently giving to USDC. And I think I heard that there's 5 billion USDC sitting in the Hyperliquid bridge. And so that's quite a lot of money in revenue, or that's a lot of revenue in yield that Hyperliquid's not getting. So I imagine somewhere in there they're basically trying to create a way to capture that yield. Of course, all the news data. This is Fed week, so Wednesday is the interest rate announcement. I think everybody's assuming at this point there's going to be a quarter point cut, and that's probably what's going to happen. The payroll data came out pretty crappy. I think that was like on Friday that was on the 9th. And then the employment numbers came out pretty crappy. Producer price index also came out kind of crappy. So I think basically all those are pushing towards the likelihood of the interest rate cut. So, I think that's happening. I think the only unknown here is it'll be interesting to see what level of cuts they have going forward and what guidance they offer on that. It's probably pretty much a done deal that they cut this week, but it's like, what kind of cuts will they be doing in the future? I think that's probably what people are waiting on, are most interested in. I saw SBET. There's two companies I thought I've seen buying back. This is funny to me. SBET did a share buyback, which is hilarious because then there's another company too down that I saw is doing buybacks too, and these are DATs. And it is funny to think these companies raised a bunch of capital, sold shares to raise a bunch of capital to buy whatever asset their underlying is. In SBET's case, it's ETH. And then now they're taking that cash and buying the shares back, probably at a higher, or definitely at a higher rate than they sold them to the original investors. So that seems a little shitty, fishy. But I think that has to do, once their MNAV goes below 1, they can't really raise new capital to buy more of the underlying. So they're basically buying back shares to try to get their MNAV up. I suppose if they, they'd have to burn those shares. So I don't know exactly how that works, but it's interesting that they're just buying back shares. That seems like kind of antithetical to the whole point of the thing in the first place. But that's the problem with these DATs is that a lot of them the stock price ripped, and then they've come back down, and now they're starting to trade below NAV. So I suppose you could look at that as maybe you're buying at a discount if you buy these shares, but I don't know. I'm just waiting to see which one of these blows up, to be honest. So I'm not too interested in lumping into any of these. I own a couple already, like BTCM's a Solana DAT that, I have free positions, and I did reload on BTCM, and then BTCS is another one that is an ETH DAT that started out as like an ETH staking company before these DATs were as popular. I also have a free position working in that. So I have those. But I'm not really shopping to get into more of these at the moment. If they do bottom, then sure, I'll take a closer look. But for right now, they mostly look like SBET looks like ass right now, to be honest. I did notice it's getting closer to being a reasonable location, but of course I want to see this gap filled. I noticed several of these have a gap up like that. It'd be nice to just see that get filled before I get too excited about buying these. I did notice BMNR kind of bounced a little bit last week. That's of course the biggest ETH one. Just to, you know, it looks like that move's already starting to be taken back here uh, this morning. Yeah, like I don't want to touch this thing. Everybody loves Tom Lee and he's great and all, but I'm not interested in buying something right here. If anything, I'd rather go find a nice bottom in something like AVAX or just somewhere else, or even that can. Like I said, I'd rather buy that weekly W in can than take a shot on this. So I'll wait for these to fill the gap and actually really bottom out, which might not be. Maybe these are sort of done for this cycle, to be honest. I mean, as far as trade, I mean, if you're going to try to short-term trade these or whatever, I don't know. But I'm talking about long-term, try to bang out a double or something. I'm not really interested in these. But nonetheless, SBET bought some shares back. What else was in here that caught my eye? Well, pump funds still continues to be like the hottest thing in crypto at the moment. Kind of battling Hyperliquid for the most revenue generating project in crypto. And I still love Pump, and actually just missed a long this morning that I was hunting, which I'll get to in a minute. But yeah, Pump continues to be a big deal. They raised a record 15.5 million in a week. And it seems like now they're starting to, their streaming platform's really taken off, and they're trying to attract some like big names into the streaming platform. And I'm sure like probably in the next few weeks, you'll see some people that already have big names, or big followings starting to stream, and those will probably be pretty hot coins. And I'm sure everybody will be trying to pile into those and make their fortune. I'm not really active on pump.fun actually trying to trade that shit, but I am interested in pump token, and I don't have time to sit there and like gamble on degenerate Gen Z stuff. I'm not saying it's not like a good idea. I mean, that's up to, if people want to do that, I totally think it's a great way to probably make some money. High risk, of course, and just lots of rug pulls and probably hard to trade setups in those environments. So I'm staying out of that part, but I definitely am watching Pump Fun, and just it keeps pushing higher. It's just getting kind of like dangerously nosebleedy, but no reason why I can't keep ripping. Look at that in a minute. More just articles about inflation and the likelihood of rate cuts. I'm not the best person to comment on that anyway, and also I think it's just pretty much a done deal here for this week. Again, the Fed is Wednesday, and really, like, it's hopefully things still continue to sort of roll over into Wednesday. I mean, it was looking pretty uppy here the last 4 or 5 days and week or so, and I don't really want to see prices running up into the Fed event. I think the stock market still made a new high again today, though. Yeah, here's that AVAX DAT. We'll look at AVAX here. I think AVAX is actually presenting as kind of undervalued. Now, it did take off a little bit, but it's got this sort of weekly W head and shoulders-y kind of bottom here that's in a reload zone. And even where price sits right now, it's still in the reload zone. And I actually think AVAX is sort of undervalued in the market at the moment. There is the old range bottom W's way down at 1188. So I don't know if it has to come down and test that. I'm kind of guessing it's not going to. Although RSI, I'm looking at RSI here, never did get oversold. So maybe if things really roll over, but I like hunting AVAX against this W, to be honest. I think probably the best thing to do is maybe draw another set of fibs off the W and just hunt pullbacks into reload zones there. 61.8 might be a nice place to go hunting. So maybe if we get lucky, could see moves down to like $21, 21.22, 21.22. But I don't know. I can't really fault anybody for just, if you really want to get long AVAX, hitting that W. So I don't know, but point being, I like, I think AVAX is and I think it's a nice complement to the Sol rally. Like, I think AVAX is a Sol competitor. I think the more Sol pushes higher, I think it will drag AVAX with it. And location-wise, this is a much better location than Sol. I don't think you can really buy Sol where it's sitting. It's actually in a short reload zone of its all-time high range, which we'll look at here in a minute. But So in crypto right now, I kind of have a short list here of things I'm interested in. AVAX is definitely on that list. So I'll be watching that. What else I got here in my news? Yeah, I mentioned Can when I did buy that W. And again, this Discord channel, I'm not like, I don't have time to go and run a community here. So I don't even have a chat set up at all. It's more just like a feed. I'm not a huge Twitterer, although I could probably do the same thing on Twitter. But I don't want to bombard Twitter with just like news articles and stuff. This is mostly just like I said, it's like a live journal kind of thing. I'm just going to be posting in stuff that catches my eye. So if you're interested in that, and I'll also post when I'm streaming and stuff in here going forward as people join. But the link's at the bottom here, and it's yeah, there's not even any. You guys won't even be able to comment on here. And then I think I'll probably open up a private chat just for yeah, at that, and then I could decide. Maybe I'll think about how that would look. I'm not really interested in starting. I'm already in a bunch of chat rooms. I don't know if I really want to manage a chat room. So for right now, this is just like a feed. But I will post trade ideas in here and stuff like that as they present themselves. So if you're interested in that, ETFs, more ETFs, and that's, of course, there's a lot of that seems to be the news driver right now. And it's, that's sort of part of this like TradFi kind of really absorbing into crypto, or crypto absorbing into TradFi. I don't know which is happening. Hey, Amal, hopefully I'm saying your name correctly. Nice that you're, yeah, I'm, I don't know about great to see me back, but thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know how back I am. Never really went anywhere. Just kind of, I have a love-hate relationship with streaming. I don't know, but I figured I'd take another crack and I do want to, stay in the conversation of crypto. So I'm always like wanting to do this, and then also kind of like, it's also, whatever. But thanks for being here, and happy to see you. And like, yeah, I haven't really been, I wouldn't say I'm marketing this, so there's not a lot of people watching at the moment. But I suppose as people trickle in, if anything, I mostly just want to, like I said, stay in the conversation. I want to hear everybody else's trade ideas too. I don't necessarily want to just be, telling everybody what to do. But good to see you. Pretty interested in this Mega ETH. You might look into them. And they just launched their own stablecoin, kind of taking the Athena sort of approach, I think. But Mega ETH is a layer 2 that's like, it's a lot different than other. I don't really know all about it, but it's one. They're like, they're advertising near instant transaction times, and they have like an interesting model. So maybe go look into Mega ETH. I'm not even sure what the story is with a token, or I don't even know. I just listened to a podcast, and one of the guys from there is on it a lot, and it seems pretty interesting. So maybe check out Mega ETH. Looks like Circle actually finally had a trade. It's too late to get into. I'll look at that in a minute. But I will say that I don't know if I love Circle for an investment, because as stablecoins, of course, Circle's USDC, but I think I don't know. There's probably better. Honestly, I think there's kind of better ways to get exposure to stablecoins, like maybe even like Athena or something, buy an ENA. Just because I don't know. I think Circle's going to have a lot of competition going forward. So I'm sure they'll still do well, but considering they just IPO'd, and might as well look at the stock really quick here. I did see like a short-term trade come in, which I didn't take. I was sort of hunting it. But you can see this little W came in. It'd probably get a retest anyway, and it didn't quite hit the 2-to-1 off that. The 2-to-1's just a little bit above here, so I don't think it's really an amazing trade. I don't think I missed much. But back to my point about Circle One, it IPO'd here at $64, ripped up to 300, and now it's just kind of getting sold off pretty hard. But I think this 64 will go down. Like Brian Beamish always said, and I always keep this in my mind because I've watched it happen on multiple IPOs, is they usually lose 50% of their opening price. So I think a good place to hunt Circle actually is $32 way down, here later on. Maybe that's not even in this cycle, but still trending down here. But I did just notice this little 4-hour W came in. I could see how maybe taking a shot was worth it, but we'll see. It looks like it's rolling over here. And again, rolling over into the Fed is good, though. I want to see the market be soft the next couple days. I think that's better. I'd rather see a buy the news event after the announcement than a sell the news event. If we rip higher into the meeting, there's more of a likelihood of a sell off afterwards. And of course, we're only middle of September, and I was expecting September to be kind of a dull month, and it sort of started the month a little bit uppy. But I wouldn't be surprised if the next, maybe it's, we'll see what happens. But September still could end up being kind of a dud. And I think that'd be nice. I'd rather see things cool off a bit, to be honest. Just set up a ripper into the end of the year. That would fit into my general idea of what's happening the best. Of course, who knows what actually ends up happening. But in general, I think we're going to have a pretty good bull in the last quarter of the year. So it would be nice to see a pullback here in September to set that up. But Circle, it's not my favorite trade idea, but I'm watching it. And like I said, I want to see much lower before I consider like a long-term investment. You could go pull up Coinbase. I won't do that right now, but perfect example is the Coinbase IPO I think it lost more than 50% of its value eventually after everything settled down. And it actually became an amazing buy opportunity at those levels. All right, cool. See you later, man. Anyhow, maybe I sound a little disjointed or a little all over the place, but again, I'm just kind of getting my stream legs going. Did see YGG weekly W breakout. I don't know what's going on there today, but I like YGG. I don't even know much. It's a gaming thing, but it's just treated me well in the past. You could see it ripped up hard. I mean, the traders trade was down here against these little W's going back to September 6th. You could see quite a pretty, actually didn't quite double off those levels. Yeah, 15 cents up to like 27 cents. So not quite a double. And it looks like they're taking the move back, but this is there is a weekly W in now. And nice looking chart. This is exactly the kind of thing I'm looking for. And I can't fault anybody for buying that breakout. Actually, I might do that. I have not done that yet. But yeah, perfect looking weekly W there. So if shitcoins are going to get any kind of legs here, then that seems like a reasonable take. Again, I'm sort of patient into September, and noticing RSI not getting oversold here. That's one thing that I do notice that I don't like is I'd prefer the RSI to at least have touched oversold before the bottom comes in, and it's still looming above. There's a divergence, it looks like, from there. There's we had a nice nice divergence confirm here. So that's, promising. And I'm not like super amped to go load up on a bunch of shit coins, to be fair. I have several. In fact, I sell YGG. Can't remember if I actually was buying in here or not. I might have been reloading there. Gotta go look. But like I said, I have a lot of shit coins. I'm trying to be really patient and selective about loading up on more heading into the end of the year. But if I see a W like this, I can't. I get tingly in my loins. I don't know. Something makes me want to buy it. So I like YGG here. You can see the big volume bar came in last week. So, and they had some news. I can't remember exactly what is going on with YGG here, but I thought I saw something. So that's a nice weekly W, nonetheless. Gemini IPO'd, another perfect example. Let's look at Gemini. They did IPO last week, and I think they got, ripped up and then got, I think it's Gemmy. Yeah, you can see that thing is just getting crushed. Actually, it was all, actually this one almost, well, it hasn't lost 50% yet, but yeah, they opened at $37, shot all the way up to 46 almost, and now it's sitting at 32.80. So if, again, half of this 15, or what's half of 37 is 1850. So yeah, still looking for lower, and this does not look interesting to me at all here, but they did IPO and, raised a ton of money. Not interested in Gemini. I already talked about Sun and Hype D. These I even posted them. Like I posted this thing right at the weekly W breakout, and then it ripped. So I mean, there was a potential trade there if you're ballsy, and there's so much hype behind hype that seemed reasonable. I just didn't step in there. Anyway, I'll just kind of get through these fast. I already mentioned that DMGI and can. The alt season indexes are all starting to flash alt season, so I think it is alt season to some level. Again, just very selective alt season, I think, is what we're gonna have going forward. Um, it just reminds me of the small cap stock market. I think I said that last week. The small cap stock market. There's just thousands and thousands of names, and something's popping off every day, but most of them are doing nothing. And I kind of think that's what altcoins are going to look like going forward in general. There's just going to be so many. And so you're going to have to be a lot savvier about what you go and buy, I think, as opposed to just buying everything and hoping for the rising tide lifts all boats thing, which I think still will happen to a degree, but it's just, can you outperform Bitcoin going forward? It's hard to outperform Bitcoin anyway, trading altcoins. At the end of the day, most people would have been better off just buying altcoins. Buying Bitcoin and not even messing with altcoins. So it's the game's getting a little bit harder, I think, in terms of um, just buying every W and expecting them to rip. And I think a lot of things I've noticed is just I got a lot of doubles. This has always been the case, get a lot of doubles and then the price comes all the way back down to your entry. And so it's like, is that really worth it at the end of the day? I don't know. I'm like, not really, especially because you're paying tax. Well, it depends on what country you live in, but you're paying taxes on the gains from the double, even though you didn't really realize a true gain because you just sold half to get your capital back. And then really you're not even in a free position technically if you consider the tax liability of that. So of course taxes are different everywhere, but in the US that's how it is. So I'm refining my approach. I'll be honest. I have a tendency to load up on too many, to spread myself too thin, so to speak. And so I'm actually refining that at least into the rest of this cycle for sure. Cause like I said, I already have a wide range of shit coins. APT I'm pretty interested in. Actually, some of the layer 2s are looking a little better. Kind of. I mean, they're not really looking great against Ethereum, but they're looking a little better. And I did get interested in APT here recently, mostly because they actually have a pretty fair amount of activity around real world assets. And I don't know. I just it caught my attention. I saw this little daily W that looks like it's being retested right now. We'll see if anything can come in here, but no weekly W yet. So I'm just waiting patiently. But I started getting more interested. So I like that, and I did make a chart of some layer 2s, but when you look at them versus Ethereum, they're still looking pretty rugged. So this again, can you even outperform Ethereum on these? It's going to be hard. Mantle's the only one on this chart that's been, it's been ripping hard. And this actually has more to do with Bybit. I guess Bybit's using Mantle token as some sort of rewards token now or something. I don't know the details exactly, but that's been driving the price of Mantle up. But when you look at these weekly charts are all strongly trending down against Ethereum. So I don't think loading up on layer 2s is that great of an idea in general. I mean, a couple looked interesting, like IMX kind of had a nice move here in a daily W, if I remember correctly, last week. But I don't know. So patiently watching these, but I do like APT. Optimism looked like it's starting to, it's a pretty ugly chart. It's kind of head and shoulders bottom trying to come in here, but also rolling over. And again, rolling over into the Fed's a good idea in general, but I suppose optimism, if it maybe down here against this W is a nice level. Already got that retest and bounce, but I was hoping this one looked a little better. So they kind of look shitty, but APT just caught my attention when somebody was talking about how there's a lot of real world asset activity there actually, and a fair bit of activity in general. So I guess I need to verify that, to be honest, but it caught my attention. What else is in my list here? I mean, not that I did close my Ethereum long from last week I talked about, and then Ethereum did pull back pretty deep here. I'll look at those in a second. I didn't even talk about Bitcoin and Ethereum here. Let me speed up here through these things because I want to keep this to an hour. I only have 20 minutes left, but Anyway, I already mentioned the Fed. I think these odds, the poly market odds, might even be higher now, getting closer to 100% for a 25 bips cut. Already talked about that. And a nice weekly W on DOT. I'll look at it in a minute. I already mentioned AVAX. I thought this was interesting. Solana treasuries are already up to 2% of SOL supply, although Coinbase was only saying 1.2%, but nonetheless, a lot of SOLs getting locked up in these treasuries at the moment. Let's go look at that dot W, because that looked pretty good to me. I don't know if it's still holding. Kind of heard people talking about Polkadot being dead, and I don't know, but then I I don't know. It's sort of like, this is probably one of those things where there's probably like a lot of early investors still having locked, token unlock kind of thing, high FDV. I guess the W didn't actually break out. So maybe it did. Did it just barely tick through? No, it didn't even break out. So there is that little weekly W right here. So it did W, but I don't really love it. Just, again, this is a same conversation. I just think these need a little bit, the altcoins still look a little weak here. I don't really see, if anything, I want to see a strong breakout and a retest on these weekly charts to because I mean, you're going to outperform ETH? Like, probably not. Like, let's see, DOT versus ETH. Is that going to, oof, see, look how, that looks awful. It is getting oversold here, but yeah, so I don't know. Maybe these need more time. I think most shitcoins need more time, to be honest, which sucks because I don't know how much time is left in the cycle. But let's see if I can. Yeah, you can see look at this is an interesting chart. Just the PE ratios of the U.S. stock valuations hitting an all-time high here. Things are definitely frothy in the stock market, and you can see what's happened every time PEs have gotten up to those kind of levels. This is actually more than PE. It's all these PE, 4P, CAPE, anyway, all these things sort of average together, I guess, to give a valuation. And, probably looking for some sort of pullback in the stock market eventually, just who knows when. God, and really right now, I think... God, I think the NASDAQ definitely made a new high today. Yeah, NASDAQ's ripping an all-time high. ES ripping an all-time high. Fucking A. I think I saw NVIDIA pulled back a bit due to some antitrust thing in China that's being waged against them. But even that, you could see just immediately being taken back. So definitely so much. I mean, definitely rip and bull in the stock market. This is the other the ton, which is hilarious that there's a TON strategy, the Telegram coin or whatever. They also did a stock buyback. That's not a great. I mean, that's maybe good for the investors, I suppose, but it's just not. It doesn't seem like a good for the actual DAT. And then I think a new narrative that seems to be catching some steam is the robotics tokens. And there's a list here of robotics tokens. I went and looked through these, and most of them have ripped. I also noticed that CoinGecko has a whole category, and I do want to watch these going forward. There's a whole robotics category on CoinGecko, and you could see how a lot of these on the week are up pretty good. I didn't really see anything that I was going to go buy. Actually, everything seemed like it was too high, so I'm a little late here, but I think still early in the bigger picture. Like, what's the total market cap? Yeah, it's only 400. Yeah, $500 million. That's a weird way of saying that. So it's about $500 million market cap total, which seems small to me. So I think this might be a place to hunt going forward. And I don't know, it sounds fishy. Like, what are these tokens really doing in terms of robotics, and what are these projects really doing? So be wary of that. And I haven't looked into any of these individual names, but I think as a narrative going forward, could be an emerging narrative that might be good to trade going forward. I think the current ripping narratives are clearly the pump and hyperliquid revenue model, which also includes like a couple other names like ENA and Aerodrome, which is a trade I want to talk about here in a minute. But this might be something to look at going forward. I'll only mention one that It's not even on this list, and maybe why it's not ripping. But I did notice, or I did discover this Vader, which was this Vader is actually in a decent trade location. It looks like it could go lower, to be fair, but it's gotten kicked in the nuts, and it was a virtual launched on the virtual platform, and it had an AI story originally back in the AI kind of narrative, back here in like the late December 2024, AI agents and stuff like that. And I was just listening to a Milk Road podcast with the guy who basically focuses on AI. I can't remember his name offhand, but that was from last week. You could go find the podcast. But he was just saying this Vader guy is like the smartest dude he knows, and it's Vader. He pivoted into robots, and that seems interesting to me. And then this chart looks actually, it was the only one that's not ripping. I think I added all those some of those other ones into a list here. Where did I? Robotics. Oh, whoops, that's not it. Yeah, you can see like some of the big ones, like Peak is I think the biggest market cap one, and you can see how that's got M's. So it's not, we kind of missed it here unless you're buying like in September. This was just September 10th though. This is an hourly chart. So I mean, I'm just like a week late, which is fucking annoying. But yeah, you can see the huge move that happened here. How big is that actually? Like that breakout. Nice W, by the way. Oh, it's only 84%, but still nice move. Well, technically 90. So maybe this actually, let's see what happens when these come back down to reload zones. But just for the sake of mentioning it, nice breakout here. God, if you can find these kind of W's, gave you a few days to buy it there. I should have, sorry. Actually, that was kind of a bad way of looking at that chart. Go to the daily here. You can see the true W breakout was back here on September 5th. But even better yet, that's a nice weekly W or daily W that gave you a couple days to buy. And then a nice big rip from 06 up to, about a double. So anyway, watch these. You can just pull this coin market cap up and maybe start digging through those. And this is a perfect example of like, I'd like to at least have some feedback from people that are smarter than me that maybe look through these names and tell me why they might be good deals. But I'll be doing my best to just go through these. So yeah, keep an eye on the robotics. And then it kind of brings the point of, I listen to this other podcast outside of crypto about humanoid robots, and just, man, they have like a fucking robot now that can like wash dishes and stuff. Like, I mean, humanoid robots are coming fast, and it's a little hard to get exposure to them in the regular stock market because most of the companies seem to be private entities, not public. I mean, Tesla, ironically, might be the only realistic way of getting exposure to robotics in the stock market that I know of. So definitely an emerging narrative, which also blends well with AI. Of course, it's going to require AI to power these things too. And so definitely probably looking for in robotics investments in the coming years. And I think I have a feeling that a lot of these tokens are going to kind of have not bullshit, but kind of weak stories behind them, because I don't know if these are going to have the capital it takes to. I mean, it's super capital intensive, I imagine, to develop robots. But nonetheless, that doesn't mean they can't pump like crazy. I mean, some of these things ripped. So already, like, I saw some 10Xers in here just recently. But yeah, like you can see they're kind of rolling over here now. So maybe let's just be patient. I also noticed most of them seem to be on base. So keep, I don't know if people are, I have some money on base, but I haven't done a lot, but I want to do more there. I do think that's a good place to be looking. But I just see M's here. So let's see if these come back to reload zones and see what they look like then. Robots are taking over. And then, more Soul Treasury. So anyway, I should, that's enough of that. I wasn't necessarily planning on going through that whole list, but but like I said, join the Discord if you want, and you can just see what I'm posting through the week. And it'll be sort of like, I'll be kind of bombarding, which is every time I see something that catches my interest, I'll probably throw it in here. So it's not really, it's just sort of like a dump for information. Anyway, maybe a couple trade ideas that yeah, we'll look at Bitcoin and Ethereum and Solana really quick, and then some trade ideas, and then I'm gonna call it a day. Let me find my charts here. Nothing in the stock market that I'm hunting as far as swing trades at the moment. Crypto, like I have this list here. I mean, I'm basically mostly just focused on trading, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, hype and pump for the really like as far as like short-term day trading and swing trading ish kind of things. Today, like pump, for example, I was hunting in here, but it didn't quite give me the dip I was looking for. I was just looking for something down into 61.8 or reload zones in general. I was going to just hit that 61.8 if I got it, like on a 5-minute chart here. Didn't actually get the dip, so missed the move on pump today. But you can see the strength here, like pump's still ripping in general and has strong upside. So I'm just definitely hunting trades and pump, but nothing to do right at the moment. Bitcoin, I was looking for shorts over the weekend, but again, also kind of got front ran here a little bit. Was really looking for moves up into reload zones. Never got it, and things are kind of rolling over. And again, hopefully we just roll over for the next couple days into the Fed. I think that would be ideal. And actually, I would consider longs here down against this W potentially. Just basically same idea on the long side. So I'll wait for Bitcoin to at least get down to 110,900 before I consider longs. It'd be nice to see RSI get oversold here a bit and set up some divergences in that case. Right now, there's nothing to do here. I was focused more on Bitcoin and missed the trade in Ethereum, which I think, I was basically hunting that same reload zone on Ethereum, but I just wasn't actually because I wasn't paying attention to Ethereum over the weekend. But this trade actually set up pretty nicely with an M right here. Even gave you a little bit of time to get in that. So looks like that trade's basically played out now. It's sitting at 3-1 now. So I missed the trade in Ethereum, too focused on Bitcoin. And it is interesting to just see Ethereum looking pretty weak here. As we get down into these ranges, probably wait till after the Fed at this point, but we'll see how the longs look as it comes down into reload zones here. But I'll be interested in Ethereum if it can. I think this range is okay-ish. I don't like this traffic back here. Maybe have to take these lows out before it bottoms. And really, there's some open air below. So if things really start dumping. Well, we'll see what happens here into the Fed again. But first place I can consider longs would be here in the reload zone at like 44.09 and below. Nothing to do there at the moment. Solana is up, and the thing about Solana, it's been ripping here through the last week or so, and of course just been in an uptrend for a while. But we're kind of getting into we're up against range highs here, all-time highs even. And we got into short reload zones, not quite to 78.6, and started to roll over. So it actually pops up into this 78.6. If they could take the highs one more time, I think that's where I'll be hunting swing shorts. But I'm not really super amped to short Solana. There's a lot of steam behind it at the moment. But I didn't see, not really a nice clean M here on the 4-hour. The 1-hour, yeah, nice M came in. And I suppose either shorten the M or the bounce up into reload zones produced a nice short, but I wasn't actually sitting on that or looking at it. You can see the divergences did come in back here on the move to new high. So yeah, that was a nice. So I was basically focused on Bitcoin like a dummy, and then Solana and Ethereum came in. What can you do? Already mentioned that I missed the hype. I did take a long on hype against these lows here and did get stopped out. So over the weekend, I just basically hit 78.6. I think I have that on here. Let me see. Yeah, so you can see I just hit, I actually traded on Hyperliquid and 78.6 was a little higher. So my entry was a little higher here. This was my entry on Hyperliquid, but 78.6 is a little higher on Binance. But just look for 2-to-1s and better. A little bounce here. Things have gotten kind of knocked back down over the weekend. Took a shot on 78.6, got stopped out there, and really there's an M here. So, I mean, to be fair, there's an M in hyperliquid, so probably best to let this thing, a lot of open air down in here, and really the range is looking pretty wide. So probably need to wait for 38.2s to resolve here before considering new longs. But I mean, if any, I mean, ideally, like post Fed meeting, there'll be a nice W somewhere down here, and I'll definitely be interested in trading like trend continuation on hyperliquid. So yeah, I'll be hunting like a TRI bot setup kind of thing. Although I don't really follow the bot setup exactly like it's oh wait, I don't want to delete that. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. But let me just hide that. Let's just draw the bot here. Oh, whoops. So, well, I don't need to draw that yet. Point being is I'll just go like this. Looking for moves into 38.2s and looking for a W down in here is what I'm hunting in on hyperliquid. And like I said, I'm super interested in trading both hype and pump on the long side. I think they have a lot of momentum behind them. So sort of like my focus on the, I think probably more than Bitcoin and Ethereum and Solana even. I think I'd like to just take advantage of the strength in these two names for the moment. So, you know, if any kind of W down here, and I'll be looking for longs to basically complete an ABCD, which is sort of the idea behind the bot. But I'm not going to actually, I don't really follow the bot specifically. I'm more just willing to hunt W's in the pump chaser zone. And that would be a $65 target. I think that makes sense. Now, to be fair, you know, I'm just basically counting on the uptrend. You could see that was the last key low. You know, hype's just making higher highs and higher lows here. This isn't a great chart because it's not, well, it's just been kind of straight up, to be fair, all the way since like $10. So I don't need to pull up all that chart data right now, but, you know, just taking advantage of this strong uptrend. So buy the dip kind of thinking, and you can see pretty good sell off here. And I think there was a lot of drama in hyperliquid recently. So I don't know, the pump up was based around the USDH, and now the sell off is probably based on that too. Cause I think a lot of people were kind of pissed off about the way they did their sort of request for proposals around that USDH. I'm not going to get into all that, but that's probably what's kind of knocked the steam out of this pump around that same news. But still looking for trades against the pump chaser zone here. So nothing to do just yet. And actually, a kind of an example of that same kind of thing, the last idea that I think is somewhat reasonable, but it's a little chasey. But this aerodrome finance is so this one Aerodrome's the biggest DEX on Coinbase. Fits into the revenue generation narrative in the sense that they're somehow buying back tokens or burning tokens. I can't remember exactly how it works, but I think it fits somewhat into to what I believe to be a strong narrative. Just the sort of, wow, these coins actually make money and kind of reinvest back into the token. I think that's pretty important going forward. And that's, you know, some of the strength, well, definitely Hyperliquid, you know, a lot of the strength behind Hyperliquid simply that they're just buying back tokens with the revenue they're making. And it happens to be a lot. So there's a lot of buy pressure on the hype token. Same with Pump Fund to an extent. And I think this to an extent too. And nonetheless, I just really wanted to get long this thing and I've missed it. To be fair, like it's a little bit chasey here. This thing's up kind of like 4x or so off of the lows. And, but I do want to be long. So I did just buy the W here. And I didn't go look, but I was hoping I got filled again. I had another bid working lower, but I have to go look at that. But nonetheless, I'm just trying to average in here around that level. And these are the bot levels. You know, I'm front running the bot a little bit, and I haven't waited for 3 lows, but now we actually have, they're not really great lows here on the daily chart, maybe on the 4-hour. Yeah, you could start seeing there's 4 decent lows, and a nice W breakout. And for whatever reason, it's pumping on the day here. But just kind of looking for this thing to start trending higher again and making this ABCD move. Yeah, it's just taking my shot here. And if it can get ripping, right now the ABCD target's at 240. So it's a pretty big move, 88%. So that's the only new swing trade I put on. that's about it. So not a lot of great ideas, and just kind of a weird point in the cycle, to be honest. Like, it's hard to invest here. Like, as an investor, this is a horrible trade location. Keep in mind, I'm happy with just walking away if this loses the lows here, and then I'll just wait for maybe reload zones down the road. I still want to be long. I want to own this name, but I can't invest here. I really want to even wait for a tag of this W way down at 50 cents to consider truly buying this for an investment. So the sad state of the market right now, well, not sad state, but if you're just coming into the game right now or you're not already invested, it's pretty tough to buy anything. So, like I said, I'm sort of focused on swing trading stronger names. I think this, does, like, going back to the idea, is it alt season? This looks like it's been alt season for a while. So, it's just not alt season everywhere, but this I would consider a strong name. So, I'm willing to take my shot there. We'll see what happens. And if it gets stopped out, so be it. I'll just walk away. But I'm not going to bag hold this thing down to the lows again. I'm not going to round trip it. Well, not round trip, but I'm not going to go heavily underwater here as if it starts running out of gas. So yeah, AVAX. Well, I already mentioned AVAX, but that's one that I'm kind of hunting a swing on, but a swing long here, but nothing to do. Kind of looks like the ABCD here already. It's kind of annoying because I actually took a bot on this a little while ago and got stopped at scratch, and then the thing turned around and ripped. But there's this ABCD's almost done, so the trade's kind of over here. Yeah, I had actually bought this breakout here, and then like it basically stopped. I can't remember exactly. I guess it was right there. I got stopped at scratch right there, and then they ended up taking it up anyway. So I think it was actually over here that I got stopped at scratch, but I don't know where I have that trade. Anyhow, that was from a little while back. But I still like AVAX going forward, but just hoping for, there has a nice base here going, but just looking for dips down into, at this point, just have to draw some fibs and see what sets up again. Could consider a new ABCD once we get down into the 38.2s and below, 25 and below. But ideally at this point, kind of looks like a 61.8 tags at 22, like I said earlier, would be a better approach. Just looking for a deeper dip, because now this ABCD's kind of done. I guess you could consider this a bigger AB leg now, but we'll see how that goes. Nothing to do here yet. Maybe a new ABCD sets up, but we have to just let this at least come down to 38.2 first. And again, looks like it's kind of rolling over. Hopefully we get a deeper dip the next couple days into the Fed meeting. Anyway, that's all I got for today. And I'll just probably be streaming next Monday. I'll keep tweeting about him when I do stream, give a heads up, but I would anticipate Monday at the same time for right now, and I'll just see where this goes. And if I have something come up, then I might move it to Tuesday, but we'll see how that goes. So, and like I said, one more time, join the Discord. That'd probably be the easiest way to find out when I'm streaming anyway, either that or Twitter. And I'll just leave it there. So have a good day, everybody, and keep at it, and be wary of taking trades right into that Fed meeting for sure. And I'll talk to you all soon. Later.